The Chosen One's Journey by DragonWolf12. Ash sat in his cabin on board the St. Anne cruiser liner, going over the day's events. It had been quite a hectic day. First was the battle against Lieutenant Surge, then being given tickets aboard the Pokemon trainer's ship, the St. Anne, and finally winning the grand prize for the monthly ticket drawing. That last part was what filled Ash's mind up the most. He was now the proud owner of a complete set of Pokeballs, from a typical Pokeball to an Ultra Ball, to the rarely used Dusk Ball, a complete set of evolutionary items, a brand new and ultra-rare Pokemon, he had bonded with him already, yet another Pokemon Egg, and lastly, the ultimate prize for any trainer, the one thing that all trainers wish they could have, the ultimate trainer's tool, the ever-coveted Master Ball. While Ash was extremely grateful, and still a little overwhelmed from his prizes, that wasn't what mainly occupied the Aura Guardian. While he could have accepted that he would win the grand prize, what made him suspicious was that both Misty and Brock won the second and third prize respectively for the drawing. This just doesn't add up, Ash thought furiously to himself. How could all three of us win the same drawing out of the hundreds of trainers on board? I also noticed something, Bulbasaur said. It seems that each of your prizes match the kind of trainer and person you are. Oh yeah, Dratini said. Brock got a set of grooming brushes, which would be useful to him as a breeder, and a first aid kit, which is good since he has the most experience healing, and a rejuvenator thingy. What's that anyway? A rejuvenator is what Nurse Joy uses to restore a Pokemon's energy and cure status conditions, but it's useless if the Pokemon has any serious physical injuries like a broken bone, Ash explained. Brock's is a one-time use item that needs to be recharged each time. It's good to have an emergency if there's no Pokemon Center anywhere close. Misty got herself a new fishing rod and a set of lure balls, which works best when fishing, Squirtle said. That's perfect for a water-type trainer like her. Wow, that sounded almost intelligent, Gyarados muttered. See, I can be intelligent when I want to, Squirtle replied smugly. Enough, you two, Ash said. Who wants to bet that Misty got a water stone and uses it on her Eevee? I hope she talks to it beforehand, Bulbasaur said. Don't worry, Bulbasaur, Ash said. I'm sure she'll ask first. Bulbasaur seemed to accept that. What was that presence you felt just before going on stage? Riolu asked. Ash gave a sigh. Right after being called onto stage, he had stretched his aura to the maximum range and felt a pinprick presence right as it vanished. I have no idea, Ash said. I only felt it for a second, and it was really tiny, but at the same time, it was immensely old and powerful. I'd hate to run into it in a dark alley. Before anyone could respond, there was a knock on his cabin door. Ash looked up in surprise, now sensing a familiar presence on the other side of the wood. He stood up and went to the door, silently berating himself for not being more aware. Ash opened the door and smiled. Hi, Misty. What's up? Hi, Ash, she greeted back. I was wondering if I could ask a favor? Ash looked at her for a second. No, you can't borrow my Pokédex, but I'll scan Vaporeon for you if you let me watch it evolve. Misty stared at him in shock. How did you know I was going to ask? Ash shrugged. It was a simple guess. You're a water-type trainer. You just got an Eevee and probably a Water Stone in that evolution pack. You don't have any way to scan the moves it will learn on evolution, so you came to me to borrow my Pokédex. Misty shook her head in bewilderment, then let her brain finally register the answer to her unasked question. Of course you can watch. I don't mind. Can we do it here? Ash nodded and let her into the cabin. She put her bag down and took out the blue stone with bubbles inside of it, and her newest Pokemon. Ash pulled out his Pokédex. Okay, Eevee, come on out, Misty said, releasing her Eevee. Misty knelt down and began talking to her new Pokemon about what she was about to do, while Ash scanned it with curiosity. Eevee, the evolution Pokemon. Eevee is a unique Pokemon that can adapt to its environment by changing its form and abilities when evolving. This Eevee is female and has the ability Adaptability. She knows the moves Helping Hand, Tackle, Quick Attack, and Bite. Misty, who had finished talking to Eevee, listened as the Pokédex listed Eevee's attacks. Once it was finished, she turned to the patient evolution Pokemon and smiled. Those are some good attacks, Eevee. Now, are you ready to evolve? The little Pokemon squeaked with excitement, eager to please her new trainer. Okay, here you go. Misty placed the water stone on the ground in front of Eevee. Wasting no time, the evolution Pokemon placed one paw on the stone and instantly started glowing a bright bluish white and started changing shape. When the glow died, a new Pokemon stood in Eevee's place. Ash quickly scanned it. Vaporeon, the Bubble Jet Pokemon, and an evolved form of Eevee. The composition of its cells is similar to molecules of water, and as such can melt in water. Upon evolution, Vaporeon gains the ability Water Absorb and learns the moves Water Gun, Aqua Ring, and Acid Armor. Those are some excellent moves, Vaporeon, Misty said, smiling. Hey, Vaporeon! Vaporeon replied. Thanks, Ash, Misty said. She and Vaporeon left the cabin, and Ash started getting ready for bed. Dream Sequence. Ash was floating above the massive dining hall on board the St. Anne. Looking down, he could see hundreds of trainers milling around or eating. What's going on? Riolu asked. Ash snapped his head up and saw that all of his Pokemon were floating with him. They were all transparent, as if they were ghosts, and looking just as confused as he was feeling. I think we're dreaming, Ash replied. Hey, where's the new guy? Bulbasaur asked. I don't know. I don't see him, Ash said, looking around. I'm over here, a voice said right beside Ash. He turned around to see his newest Pokemon floating just beside him, transparent like the rest of them. But before he could say anything, Gyarados interrupted. Why do I see you down there, eating like a hog at one of the tables? Ash's head snapped down towards the ground. He stared in shock at seeing himself, acting exactly the way he did a year ago, before getting the Aura book. What is going on? I haven't acted like that for months, Ash wondered in shock. No one had an answer for him. They watched as the other Ash was tricked into trading away his Butterfree for Eradicate. I don't have a Butterfree? What is this? Ash said in incredulity. Then, Team Rocket decided to attack, sucking up Pokeballs. Ash himself was the first to start fighting back, and he urged the other trainers into action. Once all the other trainers were battling back, it quickly became a slaughterfest for the Rocket grunts. Ghost Ash snorted in amusement, as a combo Thundershock from all the Pikachus on board sent Team Rocket flying. The next thing they knew, a massive storm started rocking against the boat. All of the passengers evacuated, except for Ash, who had performed a retray to get the Butterfree back, then idiotically dropped the Pokeball. Brock and Misty followed Ash, as did the Team Rocket trio. After a particularly aggressive wave hit the ship, Ash and his friends all ended up knocked out, and the St. Anne capsized. The scene around Ghost Ash and his Pokemon faded away, leaving them confused and annoyed. Ash himself couldn't believe how idiotic he was acting. It was as if he had never spent the past year working with Professor Oak and learning about his aura. What the hell? Ash said. Suddenly, the space around Ash and his Pokemon was filled with intense bright light. It was as if 1,000 Chinchou had decided to overpower their flash attacks all at once. Ash Ketchum! A distinctly female voice suddenly boomed in all of their heads. Ash gasped. That voice was familiar. Ho-Oh? He asked uncertainly. The light died away to reveal the magnificent legendary Pokemon floating in front of them. Yes, she replied. What you have just witnessed was one possible path in your future. This would have been your future had steps not been taken. Steps? Ash interrupted. What do you mean, steps? You and your friends did manage to escape with your lives, Ho-Oh continued, as if Ash hadn't said anything. However, 5 humans and over 24 Pokemon lost their lives because they were trapped on board. When this ship sinks, and it will sink, you must ensure that everyone makes it off alive. Good luck. Before Ash could make any kind of response, everything went black.